Welcome everyone. My name is Omonike Ogule. Welcome to second week of Module 1. Today we are talking about constructive alignment in teaching and learning. Now, at the end of this class, learners will be able to define and understand the principle of constructive alignment, apply the basic elements of constructive alignment in course design. Now, what is constructive alignment? Constructive alignment is an example of outcome-based education. Outcome-based education is that type of education that is focused on the end point. That is, what is the learning outcomes? Everything, the intended learning outcome determines what every other thing stands on. The assessment method, the teaching activity, everything works towards getting the intended learning outcome that you'd have designed at the beginning of the class. Now, what are the basic principles of outcome-based learning? The first one is clarity of focus, the outcomes. In this, everybody is clearly focused on what both the learner and the teacher is focused on what the outcome is supposed to be. Of course, you would have informed your students what you expect them to know. So everything is going towards that. Every activity, every class, every performance is focused on getting that desired outcome. And of course, there's a backward design to this because we are going somewhere and then we've already determined where we are going to before we start the journey. That is the second principle of outcome-based education. Then it's consistent with higher expectation of success. The student already know where we are going, so everybody works towards that. And then definitely, when you know what you want to achieve, you want to design a 3-story building. You're not just doing trial and error. So at the end of the day, if you work hard, what you are going to get is that 3-story building. Finally, expanded opportunities to learn more. How are we going to get there? So, teaching and learning activity that facilitates the attainment of such outcome is what we're going to. It's like we're going from Ibadan to Port Harcourt. There's a road that leads there, and if you're going from Ibadan to Lagos, there's a road that leads there. So we can't take a car that is going to Lagos when we are going to Port Harcourt. So how do we get to Port Harcourt? Definitely, it's just to go and take whatever means of transport that will get us to Port Harcourt. So teaching and learning activity are designed that is going to facilitate the outcome that we've already designed. Now, how do we know we are there? How do you know that you have gotten to your destination? One of the tools that we use in this is assessment of the learners. You assess the learner to know what the learning outcomes are achieved or not. Now, motivation and of course assessments also provide motivation for learning and is a measure also of learning effectiveness. Was the teacher able to teach properly? The learners, do they have an understanding of what was taught in the class? These are what outcome-based learning are all about. Now, constructive alignment itself. Of course, you know what you have a desired learning outcome. This is what I want the student to learn. And then teaching learning activities, and then the assessment method. All come together to ensure desired learning outcomes. And then constructive alignment is a design for teaching in which what is intended for the student to learn and how they should express their learning is clearly stated before teaching takes place. You look at the course, tell yourself this is how the student is going to learn, and of course determine what are the criteria to assess whether the student have learned what you want them to learn. Now, constructive alignment is based on two basic principles, that is constructivism and alignment. Constructivism is this idea that learners construct or create meaning out of learning activity and what they learn. Learners themselves can construct activity around what they are learning and create meaning out of it if they are allowed to. The second one is alignment. A curriculum is a curriculum design concept, that is alignment, that emphasizes the importance of defining and achieving intended learning outcomes. That alignment means that you design your curriculum in a way that the important that defines intended learning outcomes. Now, basic elements of constructive alignment is also what we are talking about. The first one is the intended learning outcomes. You have to know where you're going. The second one is teaching and learning activities. How are we going to get there? And the last one is assessment. Did we get there? And how did we get there? Did we get there in piece or in pieces? Now, outcomes, assessment, the process, and then of course the assessment. Everything works together to achieve our constructive alignment. Now, the intended learning outcomes of a particular curriculum are formulated first, and from this, when you already formulate the learning outcomes, you know what you want the student to do, you know what you want the student to know, then you can design the assessment. When the assessment is designed, and then of course we can now go to teaching and learning. So you can see that's why we call it a backward or backwash design. We don't teach or we don't assess. We don't teach until we've defined outcome, and then we have designed appropriate assessments. Now, outcomes, learning outcomes that we design for a particular course, they should be smart. Smart that we always talk about. Smart as in the smart that we always talk about. The first one is specific. In this case, outcome is focused on a specific category of student learning. If it's too broad, it will be too difficult to measure. And then of course it must be measurable, and then it must be attainable, and then it must be result focused, tailored to what a particular program. The outcome that you're going to design for a student in 100 level is different from what you're going to design for a student in 500 level. Outcome or the measurement that you're going to use for a student in engineering definitely will not be the same. We should not be, because there are different areas of learning, the different outcomes with different outcomes too. So outcome, they have to be specific to tailor to what a particular category of student. You're not going to use the same design for students that are taking practical classes and students that don't have any practical classes. You must have different outcomes that are specific, tailored to what particular set of students. So for this week, we are going to be doing some assignment tools that will take us, that I believe will give a desired outcome for this class. You're going to watch a YouTube video. The link is presented here on constructive alignment. Then a PowerPoint presentation on constructive alignment is on the LMS. You should study it. At the end of, and then of course a participant, a 250 word essay on the topic constructive alignment support positive academic outcome should be submitted before the end of the week. And then our method of assessment for this class, we have quiz on the LMS. By the end of the week, you'll be asked to participate in a quiz to assess what you have learned this week. And then I want everybody to design a constructive alignment for a particular course in your department. Thank you for attending this class. See you in the next video. Thank you.